A year's worth of motorsport comes down to this. It's race 2 of the World Finals for our Pro and Pro-Am competitors here at the Vallelunga circuit, Automobile Vallelunga Piero Terrufi. It is a beautiful day, and many of these drivers have been here for a whole week getting used to the World Finals venue. And there is lots to establish, with Lamborghini growing throughout the world. To get yourself a victory in a Lamborghini event shows your colours to the Lamborghini bosses that are watching, and perhaps gets you a seat as part of the Lamborghini family in 2024. My name is Ben Colson-Duras. Alongside me is Pro-Am champion in Asia, Dan Wells. And Dan, first of all, thank you for joining me. Why are you not in this race?
It's great to be here. Thank you, Ben. Yeah, we did qualify for the World Final, but as it is, we decided to sit this one out, and we will just be enjoying this one from the commentary box. My teammate Oscar Lee electing to sit out the World Final, which promises to be a lot of action with so many cars out on circuit. But great to be here and great to be watching what promises to be a very exciting race indeed.
Similar conditions to what we've experienced across the weekend, with 18 degrees track temperature, 16 degrees air temperature. We won't go into the night like we have done for a few of the races so far this weekend. It is prime time to go racing here at Vallelunga. Dan Wells alongside me in the commentary position, and Marietta Evans is down on the grid, and she is going to be lining up a chat with not only our pole man, but finally a group of drivers that might get themselves something out of 8 days here in Vallelunga. Frederick Schandorf and Alex Au came to last weekend with a chance to win Pro-Am in Europe, but they retired out of race 1, they retired out of race 2, and they retired out of race 1 yesterday as well. So they haven't been able to wrap up the European Championship. They could become World Final winners though, Marietta.
Good afternoon. Yes, Schandorf was a happy man yesterday, winning in Pro-Am class, and things look good for him today again because he is sitting on pole. We'll try to get a quick word with him. Frederick, yeah. You have a lot of fast drivers behind you. What's your plan to hold on to P1?
Yeah, of course. I mean, we had a really good qualifying as well, so starting from pole is the best position we can to hopefully secure the world title after our win yesterday. But it's also, we also need to finish the car to win. So let's see. I think there's going to be a lot of dirty moves out there in this race. So let's see. My plan is just to do like the European race 2, where we just go for the lead and take it from there. So hopefully a good race.
Thank you very much.
That plan is all well and good if the race goes to plan. But as we've seen over the last, 6, 8 races that we've had so far here in Vallelunga, rarely does a race go completely clean, because it's a difficult place to race, Dan.
It is indeed. It's a very tight and twisty circuit. You've obviously got the first sector, which you can really open up the car, and but it's very fast going into that first corner. So potential for some damage through there, but we've seen a few guys getting involved, but it's mainly the hairpins towards the end of the lap. It's all very tight and twisty, and everyone is going to be going for that move to make the position. So it's a real challenge for the drivers out there.
There is Loris Spinelli, who is going to be jumping aboard the VSR machine that lines up alongside Frederick Schandorf. They were 4th in yesterday's race. Let's go back down to Marietta, who's got someone else to talk to.
We are with our Super Trofeo Europe Pro Champion, Brandon Leach. Brandon, you have some of your biggest rivals for today, like Mari Bondal in front of you. What's your start strategy?
Go as fast as possible. Yeah, look, I think the tyre prep is important to get the tyre up to temperature as quick as we can, and just go have some fun. It's the last race of the championship, and yeah, I just wish everybody a good race and go enjoy themselves, and I hope to have some fun battles today.
Thank you, good luck.
The pro category has the pros at the sharp end of the field. So Amaury Bonduel starting in 3rd position. He was the victor yesterday. He's taken 2 extra points for pole position yesterday and today. That's actually a bit of a surprise. Loris Cabarrou in the 27 starts in 6th position. They were 3rd yesterday. Brendan just behind them. He was 2nd. Bonduelle taking the victory, taking 2 points for both pole positions, having not won at all in Europe across the whole year. Interesting how suddenly things have turned up the wick in World Finals weekend.
No, absolutely. Some of the pace which has been displayed by these drivers has been absolutely stellar. When you think that you're doing 1 minute 32s around here, it is exceptionally fast indeed.
Let's go back down to Marietta, who's got a man who was compromised yesterday by a safety car period where only half the field actually joined the safety car. Chris van der Drift will be trying to make amends today.
Chris, you dominated the season in Asia. The World Finals is a different field. What can you do today to close the gap to the front runners?
Hopefully pass a whole lot of cars that are in front of us. The qualifying was a bit of a disaster for us, so a bit further back, but yeah, hopefully we've got some speed today and we can make some passes and give the car to Marco and he can finish the race in a good place.
Thank you very much. Good luck.
This is not a world final victory for Chris van der Drift and Marco Giltrap. There's no chance really of that with no points from yesterday. But there is a chance to show off, and van der Drift will want to do that after such a huge career in motorsport to show that he is still one of the very best.
No, absolutely. He's done really well in Asia this year. He's had some great pace. He's been great to battle against all year. Yeah, we would have expected actually all the Asia cars to have a little bit more pace here. A little bit of a shame, but the Europeans have just shown that you know, they're doing 1 minute 32s and low 33s around here. Exceptionally fast pace. Of course, they've done the last couple of events here, but even so, the pace that they've displayed on this tight and tricky circuit has been very impressive indeed.
Chris van der Drift, 13th position, best from the Asian category. Best American is down in 16th position, Carl Marcelli, but that car did score some decent points yesterday. 6th spot for Marcelli and Danny Formal, and much like the van der Drift and Giltrap car, basically dominated their series. I think they got 10 out of 12 victories overall.
Yeah, it's a very impressive season from them in America. When you think putting together a championship season in this, just being consistent and trying to get consistent podiums, because if you do have a non-score, it's very costly. So, you know, for all of the champions this year, they've clearly done a great job, and I'm just really excited to see how we go in this World Finals race too, with an absolutely stacked grid, and that first corner is going to be exceptionally interesting indeed.
Stacked because there are 44 cars on the entry list. At least one of them is sitting in the commentary box here. What was qualifying like? Because you did do qualifying.
We did do qualifying, yes. It was quite interesting. All year I've been the Q1 driver. What does that mean? That means I take the new tyres. For this one, Oscar, my teammate, he wanted to have a taste of the new tyres, and he actually did the best lap that he's done all week around here, 1 minute 34.6, and then I took the car for Q2. I had a 3 or 4 tenths in the car, maybe. We had a little bit of traffic. It was a difficult session, but certainly van der Drift lap 33.6, I think that's pretty much where we could have done with the best possible result. But, you know, that's only good enough, not even to be in the top 10. So a real challenge, but looking forward to being back on the grid next year, fully prepared, but very happy to be sat here in the commentary box with you to enjoy what promises to be an amazing motorsport event today.
4 kilometres, this Vallelunga circuit. There's 44, 43, maybe 42 cars on the grid, but in 44 cars in qualifying meant I doubt anybody really got a fully clean lap, and so that really does mix up the grid, doesn't it?
It really does. I mean, when I was out there doing the qualifying laps, it almost felt like an e-sport event with so many cars on track, and you know, some of us were backing up in that last sector, just trying to find that gap and then get a maximum exit out of the last corner. As the 1 minute board goes up as the drivers are preparing to start their engines, and the tyre warming here. Trying to get the brakes and the tyres up to temperature is going to be super important. And we saw yesterday with Jonathan Chicotto, who actually had an issue going into the first hairpin on that first lap after taking the Pro-Am pole. If you don't get your tyres and brakes up to temperature, you are going to be vulnerable. So you have to work really hard to effectively use the brakes to heat the tyre from the inside. And of course, we do have the 2 formation laps to make sure that they are fully ready to go roaring through that turn 2.
It's a remarkable thing, the Hankook tyre. We're new to Hankook this year from Pirelli after the last 9 years. That tyre has to operate in Asian humidity and temperatures and in European humidity and temperatures, which are completely different things. And America obviously sits kind of in the middle as well. To have a tyre that works at 50 degrees in Sepang, for instance, versus 16 degrees here, it's no wonder they have to do 2 laps to get them warm.
Absolutely. The Hankook tyre, actually, yeah, I've really enjoyed driving the Hankook tyre. I've had a really good feel for it, especially in the race. But you're absolutely right. You know, and that could be something for the Asian cars. We're very used to this sort of high track temperature. If you think we're in Sepang, very, very high degradation, very, very hot. And then we come here and it's very chilly, you know, it's very fresh. The speeds, obviously the engine's running much nicer compared to what we would in the humidity and the heat out in Asia. But what is exciting is the sort of the difficulties which you have with getting the tyres up, and it creates a lot of excitement.
Have a look at the grid then. Shandorf and Spinelli on the front row. Amaury Bonduel and Igor Orodziev on row 2. We saw that car doing very well in the AM race. Largim Ali and Loris Cabarrou on row 3. Then Brendan Leach and Artem Petrov. They're the really big hitters from race 1. We've got Scioni and Karol Bash on row 5. And then we move down to Dan Arrow and Riccardo Iannello, a lot further down than he was in race 1. Van der Drift and Norman, Marcelli and Balthazar, and then Rodrigo Testa and Nathan Stacey. Douglas Bolger's on his own, and he lines up alongside Sebastian Fremuth on row 10. Then it's Mark Miller and Sebastian Saavedra further back. Gianni Torino down on 23rd, Patrick Matheson 24th. The number 6 of Gilles Stadbader, 25th. That's a car that was fighting for the European Championship as we continue to filter down this mammoth grid of 41 cars in the end. And looking out for some surprises further back as well. Cars that have been fighting, for instance, in Pro-Am, starting down 33rd, 34th, 35th, 36th. Down to 39th, we've got cars that have points after race 1. And because of the Pro-Am situation, obviously that's the AM qualifying, those cars are going to come to the fore in the second half of the race, and always creates plenty of interest for us to try and find what's going on in the middle of the pack.
Absolutely. Strategy is going to be very important here when you think, you know, if you've got your faster driving starter in this race, you really don't want a safety car on that first stint. And likewise, you know, if you do have an AM, you're really praying for a safety car so that the pro can step in and then to be able to come through to the forefront on that second stint. So tyre management will always be something to be said about as well. If you do have the AM doing, let's say, a sensible pace on that first stint, you're going to have more tyre to use on that second stint. But at the same time, if you do have a pro using up all those tyres, the AM is going to find it a little bit more tricky, and that's where we get such thrilling, exciting races here in the Lamborghini Super Trofeo.
So is there a lot of management needed to get these tyres to the full out?
Well, the management, it depends how nice your teammate is to you. The faster my teammate's gotten to me, the worse he leaves the tyres for me. And likewise, you know, there's one point if the driver's going, you know, 4 or 5 seconds off the pace, you can jump in and, you know, she's fresh, you can push. The moment you're within sort of a second and a half, 2 seconds of the pace, you are going to find it a little bit more tricky with the rear. You know, as you're braking the car, you will feel, just as you're going down the gears, you know, to second gear, certainly in this corner, you'll feel the rear just step out and you can't get the traction, the purchase which you need coming off the corner. And that's these little, you know, just a tenth here and there, and that's what makes up the lap time around the circuit. So
just quickly, the results from yesterday then. Fredrik Schandorf, who's on the pole position, was the car, the number 81, that took victory in Pro-Am. Second was Emmanuel Colombini. He starts 33rd with Nigel Schondervoort and Jelmer Berman starting 34th. That was your top 3 in Pro-Am. In Pro, it was Bonduel, who's had both pole positions in that category, and the victory yesterday. Second went to Brendan Leach, and third went to the number 27 car of Loris Cabarrou and Stefan Trebodini. Those two starting 6th and 7th on the grid, with Bonduel third. 2 Pro-Am cars at the head on the first row. Bonduel, for me, a massive surprise. I've followed the European Series. He's once been on the podium, but never took in victory, and he's now with one hand on the World Finals victory when it mattered. He changed his engine between the end of the European season and the World Finals. Whether that was it, or whether that was the tinkering of the setup over the last 9 days, something has suddenly clicked in that gold car, and he sits behind Schandorf going through turn 1. I would be happy to follow Schandorf, but then again, I'd be happy to be following Spinelli as well.
Yeah, 2 very talented drivers indeed. They're both at the top of their game. Really excited to see as the safety car pulls in, we get ready to start race 2 of the World Finals.
A beautiful shot of the stadium section here at Vallelunga. Roma is that banked final curve in the foreground that leads you on to what is effectively quite a short start-finish straight, but it just continues into turn 1 and turn 2, not quite flat. The biggest and first braking point is turn 4, which is Chimney 1. Again, a banked turn. So that will help these guys with a little bit of confidence. But they are nice and slow, and they are nice and bunched up as we come towards the lights. And we go racing. Schandorf gets to jump on the lights as well. So he gets a nice clear track as he heads towards turn 1. And I think Loris Spinelli has slotted into second. Bonduel third. It's clean at the head of the field, and further back we're going 3 wide through Curva Grande. Has everybody managed to make it through there? Yes, they have. The grass is also a lot drier than it was a few days ago. Into the first big braking ask of the lap, and everyone seems to have got through there as well. You can run a little bit wide because it's all nice tarmac and not too much of a worry, but Spinelli doesn't have the temperature yet. Most of the cars still going left to right to build temperature onto the surface of the tyre. And actually, quite clean until we see one of the DL Roma cars go back. That's Ianello, and Ianello's being muscled back, and also Chris van der Drift out of position.
Yeah, he's just trying to go around the outside there, a bit on the grass on the outside. He's going to have to defend the inside, but this is a position, as you see them all go 2 by 2 through here. Very, very tricky under braking and easy to make contact, as we see the Oricon car going for a few jumps over the rumble strips on the exit, coming around to the final sector, which gets really tight and twisty. This is where, on the first lap, they will all be trying to make position and look out for the next corner, which is absolutely so tight. First gear corner, where they're going to have to go in as we go to safety car, actually, on the first lap. So we will cease racing after what an exciting start. We've seen Brendan Leach jump down, and everyone just parked in that car park by the looks of things.
It's a bit of a surprise to catch the safety car message when you're in that stadium section, because there's so much work to do as a driver, and maybe the marshal post's not exactly in the right position to catch your driver's attention. Why are we under safety car? Well, I can't tell you, because we haven't seen anything yet on our screens, and the timing screens are suggesting only one car is off. Oh, and that's slightly shortened Flying Liz's machine of Slade Stewart. Has nosed that into a wall, hasn't he?
Yeah, that's quite a livery on the thing. But yeah, not looking quite as good as it was before. But everything else apart from that was a relatively cleanish start. We saw Brendan Leach just struggle a little bit as we see the debris off of turn 2 here on that inside. So clearly he's had an issue as he come round that point. But we saw Chris van der Drift making some positions, trying to go around the outside actually of the hairpin, which is possible to do, especially on that first lap. But he got nose off a little bit as we see the car there just stopped on the left-hand side. So the safety car now, that's not good for those who have their fastest driver. So, you know, for the guys who got their AM in the car, it's a wonderful solution. So we saw quite a few of those cars at the back of the grid. It looks like this might take a little bit of time to clear up all of that carbon fibre, and the drivers will be trying to avoid getting any potential punctures on the run down to turn 4.
That accident has started on the exit of Curva Grande and finished at the entrance of Chimney. There is a straight between the two, as you can see, and it seems to have continued all the way along that straight.
Well, Jonathan Cicotto, very happy man there. Why is he smiling? That is because his teammate, who's in the field, he's going to be on the safety car. It means the gap's going to be close, and he's been very fast this week indeed. So once he jumps in, he thinks he can do the job to be able to move forward. So he's a very happy boy.
It might not be too difficult to remove that car with the tractor. There was a tractor opening just beyond where the car was parked up. The bigger work is going to be sweeping up all the various bits of debris, and we cross our fingers that the Armco barrier hasn't been damaged as well, because it does look as though there's been multiple impacts along the Armco on the exit of Curva Grande. So that, to me, just seems like not getting the temperature of the tyre. It's surely on lap 1, it's basically flat out, no?
Yeah, it's a real tricky one, actually. In qualifying, I had a moment through there, my second last lap. You go through, if you just catch the bump, there's a bump just on the entry. If you catch it a little bit wrong, you're picking up the power, and then it just jumps around on you, and you'll end up on the exit curb. And if you go just beyond the exit curb, then you're into the grass. And that's where, if you don't have the experience, if you can't quite catch it in time, you are going to end up in a situation as the Flying Lizard car did.
So I don't think that car's got anywhere close to grass, though. Where's it, the curb? Oh, it's been a bit of contact with another car, and that may well
double contact.
Yeah, I wonder whether he got a puncture on the left rear as Michel Blanchemin went for a bit of an explore of the inside of the circuit. We didn't see many cars over there. but with that side-by-side contact, rear right puncture that then sends you into the wall, perhaps?
Yeah, literally just the first one bounced off of the first car, bounced off the second car, and then ended up going into the wall.
Let's go down to Marietta, who's got an interview from the pit lane.
Abby, it's been great having you in Super Trofeo and now this weekend in the World Finals. How do you feel with this experience here for you? What do you feel you have learned as a driver?
I've learned so much this year. You know, I came into it, I've not done GT racing for quite a long time, so my learning curve this year has been exponential, and it's been great to, you know, bring my Rebellio brand here into Trofeo and really showcase it to the world that we're here to change motorsport and make it for the better, make it more accessible. And my partner on track, Dan, is a great driver as well.
This weekend and today we have like the best drivers from all three Continental Series racing together. With what result would you be happy going home today?
You know, drivers are very hard on themselves, and we always want to win all the time, but you know, the competition is very fierce, so if we can stay in the top 10, you know, we'll be pleased with that. And ultimately Dan and I just want to have a good fun race together for our last race together at Super Trofeo.
Thank you very much. Good luck.
Thanks.
Abby Eaton, most known, of course, for her starring role in the Grand Tour Amazon Prime series alongside Jeremy Clarkson and the like. Less known for beating me in the Mazda MX-5 Cup of 2014. Let's have a look at the replay of the start. And for me, Shandorf there goes just before the lights, but it's difficult one to kind of judge. It certainly gave him a lot of space going down towards turn one.
No, absolutely. I think did what he had to do here, and you notice just as he picks up a little bit of the dirty air, as the tyre pressure is still coming up, a little bit of oversteer as he comes through too. Look at Brendan Leach just dropping back a little bit. He was caught napping a little bit at the start, puts him on the back foot, and it's all about momentum at the race start. You want to be moving forwards because otherwise you are going to be going backwards. It's just like a karting race. You want to make sure that you are moving forwards right from the off, which with these rolling starts, it's a real knack to be able to do, and the drivers are all kind of learning how to get the best out of that and to catch the lights in such a way which they're on the front foot.
We saw that Chris van der Drift was kind of out of position and on the outside of turn 7. He actually ended up back in 13th position by the end of the lap. So started 13th, ended lap 1 in 13th. It wasn't such a happy story though for Kyle Marcelli, 16th at the start. He dropped outside the top 20, ended up in 18th position by the end of lap 1. But for our two kind of flag flyers from Asia and North America, hasn't gone particularly well for them. In fact, it was a much better start for Ryan Norman, who started just a place ahead of Marcelli, and Ryan Norman, the runner-up in America, has got himself up into 12th position from a 15th position start. So slightly better. The track is pretty much clear of debris, and we are going to go racing again with only 9 minutes before the pit window opens.
Yes, indeed.
Right, let's go back down to Marietta, who's got the teammate of Largim Ali, Oliver Soderstrom.
Oli, what can you guys do today? Because in the last 24 hours, you went from winning the last Super Trofeo race to disaster yesterday.
Yeah, yesterday we were unlucky, but today's a new day, new opportunities, and we're still in the game. I still believe we can win it, so we'll see my stint and see how the race turns out.
Thank you, good luck.
I think the biggest story for me, outside of what's happening directly on the screen, is Gilles Stadbader, the number 6 machine that's been fighting all year for the European Championship alongside Mattia Michelotto. 27th position. Qualified pretty badly, but hasn't made any positions up. And even Mattia struggled in his qualifying session. They didn't score any points in race 1. It's been a real disaster in terms of World Finals for them.
No, absolutely. You would expect a bit more. As we see, safety car is in this lap, so the drivers will hope to have made the best of their warming procedure, making sure they're using the brakes. And as we see Shandorf just preparing that start, weaving side to side, you get a little bit of surface temperature. He's probably going to pick his point as best as he can to be able to get the acceleration. Looks like he's gone already. He's been caught napping Spinelli, and well timed there on the restart. Shandorf will be coming through the final complex to have a decent lead.
Let's not forget that Shandorf does have a pro title to his name in the World Finals back in 2019. He won that because he'd actually taken part in the Middle Eastern Series, where he took a couple of victories, and it went to count back. It went to those victories after scoring the same amount of points as another driver in 2019. and that is how he ended up as the Pro World Final winner of the Super Trofeo in Jerez. We're going back to Jerez in 2023. He's not going to win the Pro, but he has a good opportunity here to win Pro-Am if his teammate Alex Au can stay ahead of Lewandowski, basically. Although Spinelli and Lewandowski would need to score a lot more points than just beating them to take that title because of the combination between race 1 and race 2. It's been a pretty clean restart. That was Brendan Leach coming through the shot. Only 8th spot. He's lost a position to Artem Petrov on the restart.
Yeah, he just had a little bit of a slow restart there, similar to the race start. But we saw in the European races he came through really nicely as we ride on board with Lois Spinelli. Shame we didn't stay with him there. Great corner that as you come in, dive on the inside, heavy on the brakes, and then you're just kind of patient, trying to squeeze the power in as best as you can. But it will be a question of how much of the tyre do you want to use, because this does use the rear tyres a fair amount, and you want your teammate to be able to have that traction on that second stint, which is going to be very important for the final.
4th car in line then is Artem Orodchev, who shares that car usually in the European Series with Shota Abakasava, and they decided to split their roles so that Abakasava raced in the first race in the Am and Lamborghini Cup, and then Orodchev raced his in the Pro, and he's doing a really good job. 4th position, absolutely solidly there, not under pressure from anybody else right now. And Abakasava ended up as the Lamborghini champion, the Lamborghini Cup champion. He didn't realise it, but such was his results over the 2 races. He will be picking up a trophy come the awards ceremony in about an hour and a half's time. Here's Brendan Leach under the rear wing of Artem Petrov, a returnee to the series after doing a one-time event in Valencia to partner Lewandowski when Spinelli had other duties, and that allowed him, that and round 6 allowed him to qualify for the World Finals on his own as a pro driver and getting in the mix of things here.
Absolutely, you see Brendan really working it hard, going into this very tight second gear corner, as you see, getting a nice tight line through there, using a little bit of those bumps on the exit, using all the road as best as he can before coming through to this final sector. Just as it's very hard to follow around here though, because you will find that little bit of dirty air and the hot air off the car in front, so he's going to have to try and keep his powder dry and try and probably make a move down the back straight into turn 5 to be able to complete the move.
What we've seen is rarely does Brendan Lee get flustered. He did get flustered here, I think it was race 1 or race 2, where on lap 1 he got taken off the road, and then later on in that same stint threw it off the road himself. At that point looked like it was all going a bit south for him in his pursuit of the European crown, but it wasn't a very happy Thursday and Friday for the number 6 VSR machine, and I have to say it's getting even worse for them now, and that is how Brendan Leach just doing enough rather than doing too much to take the championship.
Absolutely, no, I've been impressed with Brendan this year. He's done a really good job with it in the European Championship, and yeah, a couple of tricky moments, but he had to come through as he did. A great move yesterday into the tight first gear hairpin. Very, very impressed with that, and obviously won the title. And here to try and make some moves. He's just 3/10 off the back of the 95 car in front of him. But it is quite difficult to overtake, especially with such similar pace of the cars around here. So you have to be very, very committed on the brakes to be able to do it. As you see, he's just dropped back a little bit from the cars in front of him.
Leach 2nd yesterday, Cabarrou there 3rd with Stefan Trebodini, and they are pretty much on the same piece of tarmac, but it doesn't really matter. This is the one event where you don't care for 2nd or 3rd position. It's a win that counts, and at the moment Bonduelle is leading the class again. He's taken 2 pole positions and he won yesterday, so it would be an absolute domination of the World Finals for Amaury Bonduelle if it stays as is right now. He is a lone driver, so his pit stop is 3 seconds longer than those with a 2-driver pairing, but the closest one to him for that is Lagermali and Oliver Soderstrom, who are about 3 seconds back from him right now, so it wouldn't actually matter too much. There is the livery of Amaury Bonduelle. Seems quite calm at the moment, everything.
It does, doesn't it? I mean, I'm just very impressed at the pace of Spinelli at the moment. 32.8 on a race stint. First stint, but you've got high amount of fuel in the car. Very, very good pace indeed. Putting the pressure on Shandor as best as he can. But like I say, Bondwell, done a super job yesterday and today, so looking very, very good for him. But I think Spinelli's just going to be trying to apply that pressure and build that pressure upon Shandov to see if he can kind of probe for any mistakes, see if there's any area where he can spot a weakness. But both these drivers are at the top of their game, so I think this is going to go all the way through to the pit stops.
What surprises me, especially when we ride on board with that VSR car, is how much arms and elbows are going on. This is not a single seater where it's all in the wrists. You are driving with your shoulders and arms, and there's quite a big steering rack on the car.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, what's really impressive is that think of turn 2. It's a tiny little dab on the brakes through there, and then you're immediately picking the power up, and the car moves around on you. And we've seen some great onboard shots actually this weekend. And Lewandowski, we had the TV camera in the car this weekend with him, and we saw some great facial expressions as well, obviously because he has the open face helmet. And but you can see the amount of effort. It's physical, and especially here, because you're constantly turning. Even this, you get a short little breather and then you're turning again, so it's not like some tracks where you have a nice long straight to be able to take a rest. You're busy, and your heart rate gets properly high as a result.
Spinelli there dropping down a gear into 5th but keeping it flat, so the retardation is in the down change. I tell you what, that rear end is not particularly settled, or is that him just trying to drive to the absolute limit?
Yeah, I'm quite surprised there with 5th gear. I haven't tried that. I've been using 6th gear all weekend, but he went a little bit hot into turn 3, and the issue with that, you're just going to be overusing the rear tyres a little bit. As you see, he's just delicately picking up the power, using this exit, using all the road there. And yep, he's going to go for a little brake bias adjustment. So he's gone forwards on the bias. So he just feels like he's got a little bit too much rotation, as you see. He's not very happy with that at the moment.
He's not complaining to anybody else apart from his car, isn't he?
Absolutely. So yeah, very good to actually ride on board with Spinelli. Obviously a stalwart of the Super Trofeo series, very, very fast driver. But at the moment, but he was very close to the car ahead. Maybe he's just overused his tyres a little bit too much, and he's just going to need to bring them back to him over the next couple of laps.
Left thumb on orange button. I'm presuming that's straight to the team saying I'm overusing the rear tyres, the pressures need to be brought down when we come into the pits?
Yeah. So he'll be able to speak to the team and recommend, the only thing they can really do is the tyre pressures and the stop for his teammate. But yeah, using 5th gear in turn 1, that was quite something. As we see, Brendan Leach, he's entering the pits now, so now the pit window is open. He's taking the opportunity to drop out of that, and of course, he has the extra 3 seconds compared to the 2 driver pairings, so we'll see where he filters out.
I wonder whether he thought he was stuck a little bit behind Artem Petrov, and this is just going to... What it's going to do, weirdly, is it's going to put him pretty much on the same bit of tarmac as before the pit stop, maybe just slightly ahead, but 1 lap down, because the laps we're doing are 93 seconds, 93 seconds, and that's the length of a 1-driver pit stop. So you don't actually end up putting yourself on a different piece of tarmac like you would do at most other circuits after a pit stop. Find yourself some clear air or something like that. You could pretty much calculate you're going to end up, especially a single driver, in about the same place, but 1 lap down.
It's a very good point indeed. As we look at the Leica Motorsport entry there, they're just adjusting the tyre pressures. Brendan done a good job on that first stint. His engineer Mark there just waiting, counting down on the race logic, and he might try and get an early launch here. No, as the Pro-Am Asia entry rolls past him. And now we cut to a nice little battle here between the 9 and the 27 car. Very, very difficult to be able to rotate the car here, get on the power, use all this road on the exit, and then through these next couple of corners to complete the lap. And a real fun little section, and very different for these big cars to be running on such a tight, twisty sort of last sector here.
It's remarkable how tight and it's got a medium speed those S's are, isn't it?
Yeah, and then especially when you open it up through here, you use all of that road on the exit, and the feeling, the sound of the cars, especially our pit box all week has just been on the exit there, and it is so cool to listen to the cars, just as as I'm waiting to get in the stint, as we see Bondwell right on the back of Leach now. So yeah, Brendan's run a bit wide there. He's not going to get the exit. Bondwell is going to be all over the back of him on the run down to turn 5, the hairpin. Bondwell flashing the lights like crazy, but Brendan's going to try and hold his position. on the brakes. Bondwell won't be happy about that one, and he'll be trying his best to get past.
This is very curious because Brendan Leach was quite vocal in the European round 6 about being held up by Loris Spinelli, and Spinelli was doing that to try and help his teammates at VSR win the European Championship. Here, Brendan Leach is come out just ahead of the man who could win the World Finals. And either Brendan is going to get away here and try and disappear if he can. If he can't, he's going to be compromising Bonduel's speed. If he can put Bonduel back into the pack again and have him stuck behind a Cabarrou or an Artem Petrov post-pit stop, that's going to give Brendan an opportunity to then get past him. So he's found himself in a very odd strategic position here that if he wasn't complaining 2 days ago about it, then he probably could get away with playing some silly games here. Actually, it looks as though he might have the pace to drive away.
Well, racing drivers, we always like it when it goes our way,
yeah, exactly.
Whichever way it is when the shoe's on the other foot. But yeah, it looks like Brendan's got good speed. Of course, he has managed to drop those pressures, and so he'll come out and probably have better pace. Maybe Bonduel, if he did feel like he's getting held up, he can come into the box and do his pit stop on that point. It looks like Brendan's away at the moment and happily on his way.
Bonduel did a 34.8, so it wasn't a particularly fast lap on the last lap when you compare it to Spinelli on a 33.3 and Schandorf on a 33.1. But it's not that bad.
Yeah, I mean, just looking at the pace, Schandorf's going at 33.1. That is an absolutely amazing pace when you look at 34.1 for Ali, for example. 7/8 quicker than the rest of the field, doing a super job out front there.
Let's hope they're not taking too much out of their tyres, otherwise these two cars could be a real handful for their AM drivers. Remember, the two at the front are Pro-Am entries, and within the next 5 minutes will come in and hand over to their AM drivers. The third Pro-Am entry in this race is Karel Bash, who's down in 9th position. He still has to hand over to an AM. And then we've got Mark Miller in 12th position and Johannes Overbeck in 16th. A lot of the Pro-Am entries that scored points yesterday are outside the top 15, and we're going to see those guys have a lot of work to do but come through the pack. So it's going to be very interesting to see for Pro-Am exactly how it all shakes out, but certainly slight advantage to Schandorf and Au at the moment, because even if Spinelli and Lewandowski get past them, they won't have enough points to win the World Finals.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's going to be a titanic battle all the way. 5 minutes until the pit window will be closed. We see Chris van der Drift in 10th place. He's staying out. He will stay out as late as possible before handing it over to Marco Giltrap. So we look at the last lap comparisons, 33.2. Absolutely crazy fast pace there. And Spinelli just struggling a little bit to stay with him. 2.5 seconds now off the lead as we follow the 27 car on the run down to turn 5. Getting the run off of that corner is super important.
And he's got ahead of Brendan Leach in the pits. So that has stayed ahead, I should say, rather than got ahead. But now it's Tribodini who is aboard the CMR machine and just dipping his wheel in what seems to be quite a dirty part of the circuit offline there.
Yeah, it's quite an interesting one because you brake hard and you effectively V the corner a lot, so you go straight in, you catch second gear, but if you just go in that little bit too deep, that tarmac is quite, I'd say, quite grippy until it's not, and then you pick up all of that, all of the dirt and the dust on the outside as Tribodini was struggling a little bit, but he looks like he's okay. Brendan trying his best to muscle his way through that final sector. So we look at the 68 car just waiting to be released, and he will be on his way.
Segu was right up there in qualifying 1, but the combination of himself and Schioni doesn't necessarily reap the strongest performance. We've got so many pro cars that they are dominating the top of our timing screens. Brendan Leach was able to drive away from Bonduel. Has Bonduel now pitted? He must have done. Yes, he is in the pits. So our world final champion-elect right now is doing his pit stop. And here he is, coming out in front of Spinelli.
No, he's going to be so compromised here. He's gone for that inside, but he's going to have to try to get the value. Yeah, and there you go. Through goes a 16 car. Bonduel just going so compromised on that inside line at 3. Couldn't get the power down. And Brendan Leach will be trying to take advantage here of, he's got past Tribodini now by the looks of things, and to try and move forwards in this World Final race too.
Yeah, so that's crucial, isn't it, that Leach has got past Tribodini, because Leach was second and Tribadini was third in our first race. So those two are really on course, but they need to both get past that gold entry. And there is a car in between them as well, which is the DL Racing Segu car. Now, Segu is pretty fast, so he's absolutely happy in that position. I don't imagine it's going to be that easy for Leach to get past him. It needs to be easy, though, because Leach needs to get on to Bonduelle and rough him up. Not just pass him, but really compromise him.
Absolutely, as we see, Bonduelle now is going to box this lap, I think, and so he will be coming out on the next one and be racing Brendan. Brendan really needs to put the pace out. Oh no, Bonduelle's still out pushing on.
Bonduelle's had his pit stop
He's
already.
Had his pit stop already, but yeah, Brendan's just going to be cracking on as best as he can to be able to come through and try and make up some more positions, as we see Bonduelle just coming down to this first corner, which is flat out 6th gear. And turn 2, normally 6th gear, unless your Spinelli was running through in 5th.
Yeah, and you can hear that, actually, as they went past. Spinelli's engine revs much, much higher than Bonduelle, so he was doing what you're doing and leaving it in 6th, but Spinelli dropping it to 5th and then keeping it flat, which I suppose keeps the car balanced and kind of limited in terms of drive.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, normally you would use a higher gear to be able to kind of carry speed and have it a little bit more, let's say, consistent. By going down that lower gear, you are going to kill some of the speed, but if you go straight back to power, of course, you've got all the latitudinal G in the car. So the lower the gear, the faster you're going to be able to go through and get the exit. Yeah, really interesting actually seeing that. And but yeah, it's a very tough corner indeed, but rewarding when you get it right.
I love onboard cameras, and the now in motorsport, the abundance of the ability to ride on board with X, Y, and Z across all these different championships can be quite a learning experience for everybody. I know in World Rally Championship, for instance, it's all they do is watch what other people are doing to try and learn from them.
Absolutely. It's like whenever, drivers say, oh, can I post the onboard? It's like, nope, you can't do that because there's so much information from it. So obviously we get the TV, and I tell you, all the teams, drivers will be going through that footage to be able to pick up every single little bit of detail, particular gear, particular line, to be able to learn what they can. And they've been doing that for the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, that surprised me, because I'm surprised how many people watch the race post-race that have been in that race, and be careful what I say sometimes. And you need to be careful what you say as well, as the driver. Right, our first two are in then. Schandorf is handing over to Alex Au. Spinelli handing over to Andre Lewandowski. Lewandowski is a 2-time world final winner. He knows how to do it already, but this pairing only finished 4th yesterday. Frederick Schandorf and Alex Au won and had points for a pole position as well. And so Andre Lewandowski needs to win, and Alex Au needs to really drop down the pack to lose that world finals, because there is only one other Pro-Am even close to them right now.
Absolutely. What was quite impressive there was how calm they both were. Very, very calm indeed, just business as usual. Engine on now, first gear ready to go, and he'll get released at that 90-second mark, or 60-second stop mark, to be able to get the exit down pit lane. But a good job there from Karabas to be able to hand over to Lewandowski.
I think they should come out with pretty clear track ahead of them, these first two. What was the shrug for?
There you go.
Italian.
Not sure on that one. So pit window is now closed, so now we are in for an epic final 20 minutes of this race to see how the AMs fare against the pros on that second stint.
So Bonduelle has caught Oliver Soderstrom here. Soderstrom, having taken over for Largamali, has managed to jump a couple of positions, I think. Certainly jumped ahead of Bonduelle, and this could, depending on the pace of Oliver Soderstrom, be an opportunity for the guys behind to catch up. Where has Petrov fallen into line? I think Petrov's lost time because he was with this group and now he's further up the road. But this is interesting. Brendan Leach will be looking at this and thinking there could be an opportunity here if he can get past Segu, who's between himself and Bonduelle.
Absolutely, yeah. Just needs to try and keep his powder dry, build that momentum towards the car in front, and try and force a mistake from the car ahead. But you see they're all running relatively similar pace at the moment. No one's making any obvious errors, using all of the road here, as we saw Brendan actually nearly out of the grass there, to be able to use absolutely everything there to try and move closer to the car ahead.
Don't forget that at some point, surely, these gaggle of pro cars are going to catch the two AMs as well, and how they get past those two AMs will be absolutely crucial as to their race performance, because they're not going to make it easy for them.
No, absolutely not. I mean, we've seen some epic racing between the AMs and the pros, but in this sort of situation, 17 minutes on the clock, all the AMs need to think about is doing qualifying lap after qualifying lap. If they start to look in the mirrors, if they start to think about what's behind them, it's going to be difficult for them. So they just have to be head down and almost forget about the race. Just focus on corner by corner by corner and hope that the clock runs out before the pros arrive, because they will be smelling blood and they will be pushing as much as they can to be able to force their way through.
Lewandowski needs a couple of cars to get between him and Alex Au, but in the Pro-Am category, you've got to go down to 13th position to Formignac, who is the next AM competitor, and he's an AM driver, so he's going to be going the wrong direction. Berman is the next real opportunity of a pro driver to get between the two of them, but Hjalmar Berman is... Well, the timing screen's not being very helpful to me. A long way back, 41 seconds off Alex Au. Even at Hjalmar Berman's amazing pace, it's not going to happen.
No, absolutely not. And you see the first lap, Lewandowski a lot more comfortable than Alex Au, actually. A few tenths quicker in each sector so far, so bringing the gap down to 4.7. And I think we should be having a race on for the lead very, very shortly, which is going to be very exciting to see. And if they start fighting, then that is going to give the pros behind them every opportunity to be able to make their way past in what promises to be an exceptionally exciting 16 minutes left in this race.
In the Lamborghini Cup and the AM race, nobody wanted to win the World Finals. We had so many cars going off the circuit, potential winners of the World Finals. So far, this has all been quite plain sailing. It's been quite calm, and I know we've got the pro drivers in this race rather than AMs, and AMs tend to kind of be more exciting, to be honest, because they're more on the edge than a pro that absolutely knows everything that they're doing. But it is brewing here, with 4.3 seconds now between our leading two cars, and then a bit of a queue forming behind Olo Soderstrom. Bonduel doesn't need to get past Soderstrom, but he doesn't need to get embroiled in a battle with Segu, Leach, Tribudini not quite with them as yet, but Segu and Leach taking points away from Bonduel would change the face of our World Finals.
Absolutely. No, you're right to mention about the performance of everyone. I mean, yeah, we've had one incident, but everyone's been quite well behaved, as we see Alex Au taking a slightly early line into that turn 5 hairpin. So still getting up to speed on his first few laps. He's got the 4.5 second advantage to Lewandowski. But yeah, everyone's been very well behaved, as we see. Bonduel now a little bit under threat on the exit here, closely tracked by Brendan Leach at the back of this pack. And the battle for P3 is on, but they need to focus on working together, moving forward to try and go and take the lead from the AM drivers ahead of them.
Segu's pit stop is under investigation. Quite a few pit stops under investigation. We've seen this across the whole weekend. What was the directive from race control? Because in most race series, if you go slightly under your pit stop time, you get quite a heavy penalty, but here it doesn't seem to really matter.
Well, this is where I had a little bit of fun. In the Asia race, we were 0.2 of a second under, but for Asia, we get a stop-go, which you triple that, so we were stationary for 0.8 of a second, but that effectively ruins our race.
Right.
In Europe, however, if you're within a second under of that, you just triple that and add it to race time. Okay.
Yeah, okay.
So you would always, in Europe, you would push to the nth degree to try and be perfect on pit stop time. And so we will see a lot of penalties where they will triple that and then just add it to the race time.
Let's go down to Marietta, who is in the pit lane with a man who has won a World Finals in the past, but it's quite a long time since Loris Spinelli was a World Final victor.
Loris, definitely your car looks like it will finish on the podium of the race. But what happened yesterday was a tremendous setback for the World Finals for you guys.
Yeah, I mean, we didn't start the World Finals. I mean, we started in the right way, but unfortunately, we've been blocked during the pit, the driver change, so we lost many seconds yesterday. Today, I gave all. Chandrov was in a better pace. I think my window for the tire pressure was a bit high, but let's see. I hope to end in the best way possible, maybe with a podium, or otherwise I'm happy for the team that did an amazing job. Leva too, so really grateful to be here, and let's see.
Whatever happens today, great job this season. Well done.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, they are the European champions. And so at least they have that under their belt. In fact, they are not. Andrei Lewandowski is the sole champion because Laura Spinelli missing the Valencia weekend. And therefore, Lewandowski scoring his 5th European title on his own this year. Spinelli not managing to do that. But you could see on board, whilst we were listening to Spinelli, we were watching Lewandowski. And again, all arms and elbows.
Absolutely, he looked to be having a whale of a time there, didn't he? Pace, Alex O, 1 minute 36.4. Lewandowski half a second quicker on a 1 minute 35.9. Closed that gap to 3.7 seconds, but then you have the pros behind, and they are going a couple of seconds a lap quicker. So we would expect in the next couple of laps that gap is going to close, and then it's going to be all about, can the AMs hold their heads? Can they just focus on their laps and not to worry about or get put off by the pro cars behind them who are going to be fighting tooth and nail to come through?
They are all in the same shot now. It is closing up. Soderstrom doing a good job of holding on to the lead of that pro battle. He's inherited or got up to that lead after some pit stops. Here is Zonzini not going fast. Was that a drive-through penalty? Well, that's the first drive-through penalty for a pit stop, but that is not good because Emanuele Colombini was one of our contenders for the Pro-Am Championship. Haven't seen them at all today because they've been at the tail of the field, but that is going to put them even further back, I'm afraid. And Colombini second yesterday, but it's probably going to be out the points today.
No, indeed. There must have been over a second under that. As we go to safety car now with 11 minutes on the clock. Not sure what the incident is, but that is not going to be good for the leading Pro-Am cars there. And let's wait to see what the incident is and how long it takes to clear up.
It is not what we needed. It was all looking so calm, and it's going to be a quick recovery because it shouldn't take too long to get that number 14 car out of the gravel. Pegaroro for the Oregon team. Looks like he just might have outbraked himself.
Yeah, we've seen a couple of AM drivers do that this weekend, just going a little bit too much, because as you go in, you are going down the gears, going third, second, and just on that downshift to second, if you do it a little bit too late and you're not ready to catch it, it's very easy to go off there and find yourself in the wall. So a slow speed one, yeah, like you say, shouldn't be too long, but this is the worst possible news for Alex O and Lewandowski as well, because they will now be fighting gloves off for the world final victory, but with all of these pro drivers behind. So it's going to be a very exciting few remaining laps when we do get racing again.
Well, Alex, if I was him or if I was his team, I'd be telling him just stay calm, let Lewandowski go past if he wants to, let Soderstrom and all the pros go past if they want to. Your nearest rival, before you lose the world finals, you've got to go down and drop down to 23rd position. So it's okay. Yes, of course you want to win this race, but it's okay to
win
finish
the race,
third.
Ben. It's got to be winning the race.
You want to win the world finals more, surely.
If I was Alex, you just need to back up Lewandowski a little bit and try and just focus on moving forwards. And then, because everyone else, if there's a big mess behind with Lewandowski and the pro drivers, maybe he can just drive off into the sunset, depending how many racing laps we've got. But you are right. If he is in that vulnerable situation, he does need to be sensible. But always the best form of defense is attack. Try and move forwards, be positive, be proactive with your driving, and he'll hope that he can scamper away. We saw in yesterday's race, actually, where he was a little bit beaten up through the first few corners and starts kind of being surprised by cars, and it's very, very easy to kind of get a little bit overworked there. So he just needs to focus on driving forward, drive his line, and then once the end of the race comes, once the checkered flag is there, and see where it is at the end of the day.
And that's why you've still got a racing driver mentality, and I've now not, clearly. Lewandowski is certainly the faster of the two, but then there is 19 other cars behind that are faster than both of them. I like that idea of backing Lewandowski into the pros and let Lewandowski deal with them, and you can deal with your own race. That's quite a nice idea. I thought we might go racing after that first safety car lap, because it's just a quick grab down at turn 10, and there is a nice window there for the tractor that has been worked well over the last 9-10 days to recover that car. But unfortunately, and that's the Pro-Am Formignac car with damage as well, so that's the third in Pro-Am.
Yeah, that's not looking so healthy. He might have a little issue with that, but whether or not he gets a black and orange flag for that, maybe he needs to stop to fix that, or whether they will allow him to race, and if he can race, we will see. But hopefully we'll be racing again on the next lap. But yeah, it's going to be a very exciting one. I think what Alex O does have in his favour is Lewandowski. He's about half a second a lap quicker. At least that means he can maybe hold off some of the pros. So if he does get that jump at the start, but it's all going to be about the safety car restart. So when he decides to go, does he go out of the first gear hairpin and try and get a run through there, or does he just drive up high the last corner, put it in second gear and just put the power down, get a mega launch?
And how much would Schandorf be telling him what to do in this situation?
Well, it's tricky. With this sort of thing, you never want to talk to a driver too much because it will just overload them, especially an AM driver. You need them to be prepped. All the prep would have been done before this.
Okay.
So maybe they'd have been doing simulation sessions, maybe they would be doing practice race sessions, but everything of this sort of strategy, they will know what they're going to do. And if you don't, then it makes life difficult. So as we see, Alex O is going to be controlling the restart. It looks like he's gone here just before the first gear hairpin, so caught the pros actually napping a little bit, surprisingly. And Alex O is on his way.
He's created a nice advantage with 6.5 minutes of this race remaining. Lewandowski, and then the pros of Soderstrom, Bonduelle, who's a champion in waiting, Segu, Leach, Tribadani. They're all locked together now, of course, with just over 6 minutes as we get to the line. And it's now about confidence. What do you have underneath you, having travelled slowly for the last couple of laps? Are the tyres and brakes up to temperature? You're asking the tyres to do a lot of work at Curva Grande. You're asking the brakes to do a lot of work at Chimney 1.
And here we see Marco Giltrap under threat here. And that's going to be an interesting one on the run through turn 2. Just gets a little bit of oversteer off the corner. He's going to be slow on the run down to 3. You see them all battling on the way through. Very impressed with Alex O's restart there. Very, very strong indeed. But had a little bit of a moment out of the final corner, which put him slightly compromised. But with 5.5 minutes left on the clock, he still leads, and the pros still haven't come through. So they're going to need to work hard here to move past Lewandowski.
Yeah, and Lewandowski isn't massively confident. After the restart, we heard those tyres have gone off slightly. Spinelli was using a lot of them. To the inside, Soderstrom goes. Was that defence or attack? Either way, Bonduelle had nowhere past. Segu is there, but then there is a gap to Brendan Leach. It's taking time for the Leopard car to get back up to speed.
Yeah, I'm quite impressed by the AMs as to how they did the restart, or maybe more disappointed with the pro as to how he did the restart, because caught napping a little bit. As we see around the outside trying to make this, is he going to be able to get this exit? Looks like, nearly 3 wide coming down to this final little corner. He's going to try and go around the outside. That's going to be very difficult indeed. He's going to get pushed off. But this is going to give a great opportunity to Brendan Leach behind. He's going to be in the Libert machine trying to take the good outside line here. He'll try and get the cut back and maybe take a gear lower to be able to get the exit and get on Bonduelle here. So a race to the line on the run down to turn 2. 4.5 minutes remaining, and we still have both of the AMs leading.
Bonduelle absolutely getting roughed up there. That's the problem about trying to attack when you've got cars all over you. Now he should be back up to speed. He was really good through Curva Grande there, but he has lost one position. Crucially, though, it's not to Brendan Leach. So for the World Finals, Bonduelle still has the lead in that, even though he has dropped a position. And Brendan Leach now is on his tail. And Brendan Leach now has to delve into that toolbox and go on the attack. It doesn't look like he's got a car to be able to do it. And we've still, of course, got Lewandowski ahead of Soderstrom, and Soderstrom has been back straight back into Segu and Bonduelle, and Leach will join them now as well.
Absolutely. I think Soderstrom, you'd think he'd have got the move done already. He needs to just absolutely lick the stamp and send it. As we see, he's just going to get his nose down the inside a little bit. Lewandowski's going to hold it around the outside. Of course, he gets a little bit more speed off the corner, and he's going to go probably defensive into the next one. But amazing job from Lewandowski. But as I said, he is doing a mega job to help Alex O win this overall, because 3.5 minutes left on the clock, and they just can't get past Lewandowski. So a masterclass in defensive driving, and the pros rather being shown up by the AMs here.
Oh, Bonduelle not very strong out of Fornatino, and Leach is all over the back of him. Maybe he's asked too much of his rear tyres after this restart, and certainly a gap between himself and Segu. The problem for Bonduelle is if this is the pace he's got now, there is a massive queue of professional drivers behind that are happy to take positions off him, and if he loses too many positions, then doesn't matter where Brendan Leach finishes. If he doesn't get many points in comparison to Leach, then it will go the way of Leach for the finals. There is a number 6 of Michelotto, who is just doing what Michelotto does, up to 12th position now.
I'm very, very impressed by two things. Alex O, and just focusing on his own race. As we see, Lewandowski's got a bit out of shape on 3. He's not using all of the exit there, so he is going to be compromised. He's going to have to go defensive. But you can overtake around the outside here if you're brave and committed. So let's see what Soderstrom does. Is he going to... No, he can't find a way through. So as we see someone just nip up the inside there, opportunistic move. He says, if you're not going to pass Lewandowski, I'm going to go and do it.
Segu has been very, very attacking throughout these 2 races, and now dives down the inside of Lewandowski and gets it done, and Soderstrom follows him through. That's what they needed to do. They actually really needed to get their elbows out, and that's what Segu has done. But Segu and Soderstrom for the World Finals aren't really the story. The story is behind Lewandowski still. Brendan Leach trying to go the long way around the outside of that gold machine. Bonduelle dives to the inside and gets it done there, and Leach is going to follow through.
Wow, what an exciting lap as we see Brendan Leach just going down the inside of Lewandowski. He's going to be very, very tight. Lewandowski holds it, and then the next car puts his nose in. Just about manages, but Lewandowski, what a drive so far, but really in the wars as Brendan Leach trying to defend, but he's now on the outside line. The 95 has the inside. We see some pickups, some dust and dirt there. Brendan's going to get shoved off here into the gravel, and he's going to lose speed onto the straight. And now Alex O has dropped the position, so Segu is leading.
It's out, definitely a slow lap that last time, so Segu leads. Bonduelle's about to attack him. Brendan Leach being roughed up by Artem Petrov, who is a teammate, and is this a problem, or is he just being polite? Is it just doesn't need the pressure anymore? We're on the last lap. Yes, he's not going to win this race, but it would be impossible for him to lose the World Finals in the Pro-Am category. That seems to be pretty much sorted. He just needs to make sure he finishes the race and doesn't get fully roughed up by a hungry pack of pros who are still arguing over positions further back.
What an exciting closing to this race. Yeah, I think you're right with Alex O. But I'd be concerned because the moment you start going backwards like this, you're going to put yourself vulnerable. As we see, the 16 car, that's Lewandowski getting spun around. So the moment you do go backwards, you are, once those hungry pack of wolves, the pros there, it's going to be a real difficulty for him. Though.
That was Michelotto going down the inside of Abby Eaton and coming across his teammate in the middle of the road, not going very fast. So Michelotto in the number 6 will certainly get a penalty for that, I'm sure. And it is sealed the deal on the Pro-Am category. That was the last lap. The leading cars coming round the final turn. It's a surprise victory, I would say, for the DL Consulting Lamborghini Roma of Luca Segu and Federico Schioni. They take the victory in this race ahead of Soderstrom, but that gold machine flashing its lights is the world final winner, Amaury Bonduelle. What about that? For Pro-Am, it is Alex O, who has come across the line to take the checkered flag in 7th position. I think Lewandowski is still recovering. So second in Pro-Am to Yama Berman and Nigel Schonderwood. And third is the Americans of Nathan Stacey and Nicholas Persing. Great to have Americans on the podium, because otherwise it's been a bit of a European whitewash.
Absolutely. I mean, what a race that was. That was really quite something. Interesting, Alex O leading on that last lap, and then I think electing your strategy just to play it safe. Risky with all those pros coming through, but a real shame for Lewandowski there, who put in such a stellar performance. As we look at Bonduelle, yeah, great drive. That had multiple phases to that race, and to be able to come through that, and with the pros and AMs racing together, what a final that was.
Absolutely. I think there's still a few things to sort out in the stewards' room, especially post safety car with so much going on. I'm gonna give us both credit for what Alex O did, because I think on the first couple of laps he did your strategy and then just felt a little bit overwhelmed by the pressure and was like, okay, I'm just going to back out of it. And actually look what happens if you're not traveling at the expected speed, like Lewandowski. Suddenly you get turned around, and if you drop to the tail of the field, then that would have been a different story altogether.
Absolutely, yeah. He's a very, very smart man, is Alex O, and yeah, I think tried the first one. Once he thought, no, he's just going to play it safe, went for that. But a great win for them, and what an exciting race. I mean, yeah, it was all going on there, and I'm just speechless as to some of the great racing we witnessed there on those final few laps. Well, it's all party down at the podium where they're waiting for the podium winners to come into the box and celebrate the end to what has been an amazing Super Trofeo season for America, Asia and Europe. Always amazing that Lamborghini, we have these world finals, so many cars, so competitive, but a credit to all of the drivers and the teams for managing to race around this circuit, a tight, tricky circuit, but everyone's really enjoyed it, had a whale of a time, and put on a great show for so many fans here today.
A record crowd for Lamborghini World Finals here in Vallelunga. A record entry in the World Finals of 84 cars, but there were 95 Lamborghini Super Trofeos entered, and probably over 100 cars at the circuit, because I'm sure there were a few hiding in trucks. And I know certain cars, or certain drivers ended up with 2 cars across a weekend. Such was the destruction in some of the practice sessions. It has been a record-breaking weekend, but for the 24-year-old French-Belgian who hadn't taken a victory all season in Europe, they put their eggs in the World Finals basket, and BDR competition have absolutely nailed it. It wasn't the easy run of things in the second half of the race that perhaps the first half of the race suggested, but Amaury Bonduelle kept his young 24-year-old head, and that surely has got to be by far the biggest thing he's ever won, because his championships, you've got to go back to 2019, the last time he won a championship, and that was the Ultimate Cup Monoplace Series in France. I have to say I do know the championship, but I'm not sure many of you out there will. And he came third the year after, the first year of his campaign in the Pro Series of the Lamborghini Super Trofeo. And perhaps it's just one of those things that he's a driver that has clicked with this type of car, because there's a unique style of driving to get the best out of it.
There is indeed. I raced him last year in Super Trofeo Europe, and you know, I was quite impressed with his development. He did a very, very good job throughout the year, and now, I mean, what an achievement to win the World Final, as we see what's going to be a very special podium now.
Let's go down to the Parc Fermé. Ah, right. So, Marietta's got the winner of our race, which is a surprise to me.
Luca, can't you believe what you just did? You won the last of the World Final races.
So yeah, it was one of the craziest races I've ever done. We struggled really a lot during these 10 days with the setup of the car. I have to understand the uncle tires, and yeah, we are right for the last race, and yeah, I'm super happy. Thanks to the team, thanks to my engineers, to Fabri. Yeah, it's awesome. Yeah.
Congratulations, thank you.
Again, another combination that haven't really shown that kind of level. It's amazing how when you race for a championship versus racing for a sole weekend, the strategies and the applications change slightly. It's something you see in the world where you have a sprint and endurance championship combined, for instance, different philosophies. But there in the background is the world final champions, and Amaury Bonduelle celebrating on the roof of his car with his... And also, BDR as a team, they're not the powerhouses of the Orogans and Leopards and all of that. They're a small team, and this is going to mean a huge amount to them.
No, absolutely. They're going to be very, very happy indeed. And yeah, nothing better. World final. There's so many people here. You've got everyone from Lamborghini, all of the fans. And yeah, look at that. World champion. They had that all made up, look. They were ready for it, so they were expecting something. And yeah, what a great result for them.
I always wonder what you do with those things when it doesn't work out. You know, when you make 100 t-shirts.
It'd be very, very sad. You'd be packing that up if it wasn't the case. But yeah, very, very happy indeed.
They become rags for the workshop. Marietta's down there in the celebrations. Let's get that helmet off and chat to the world final winner for 2023, Amaury Bonduelle.
Well, a lot of celebrations around this man who has just become our pro champion. Amaury, I don't know if you can believe what you achieved the last 2 days.
It was an amazing race. We lost one position on the safety car. It was very, very difficult to stay on the good position with Brandon Late on the way on me. I'm so happy to stay a world champion.
Having failed to win in the Super Trofeo last 2 races, did you ever imagine that you could win, you could be the champion today?
No, we're working a lot on the setup. The objective was to finish on the podium, but winning the world champion, no.
Well, you did it, so congratulations. Enjoy the moment.
Yeah, and the thing is, he did take 2 wins in 2022, but he was winless this last year. So I think that partly a surprise, but obviously partly not a surprise because they prepared a flag for it, which is now adorning the windscreen. But yeah, I mean, a surprise for me, and a surprise result in total. I think there'll be a lot of pro drivers out there disappointed in how that race has played out. Compromised yesterday by being stuck in the wrong traffic. Certainly the American pairing, what happened to them? Where did they end up, of Kyle Marcelli and Danny Formal? Oh, they were retirement. Blimey, we missed that one about halfway through the race.
Yeah, real shame for them, but yeah, what an amazing performance also from P12, Giltrap and Van der Drift, so the top Asia car there, just outside of the top 10, but what a race we had.
Top American was Jake Walker in 15th. Let's go down to the Pro-Am champions. That was very, very touch and go at the end, Marietta.
Alex, congratulations on bringing the car home as the Pro-Am winner.
Yes, it wasn't easy. Just when I thought I had it easy, the safety car had to come in. And luckily I had a practice in round 6. So this time I'm a little bit more calm. And yes, I'm glad for the practice in round 6. So.
And Frederick, not the first time you are a World Finals champion.
Yeah, it's great to be here again. So now it's second time world champion. I just want to thank the team and Alex. He did such an incredible job out there. So I'm just super thankful after what we have been through this whole weekend now. So I think we're going to have a beer tonight.
And I think you must have learned a lot from this man this season.
Yes, I feel that I'm working for him this weekend. I'm paying a guy to give me so much stress all weekend, but at the end, I'm glad he did, and it's worth it.
Yeah, it paid off. Well done, congratulations.
Thank you.
That sums the Pro-Am relationship up very, very well, doesn't it?
It really does. We do tend to put a fair bit of stress onto our AM drivers, and but all of it's warranted to make them better drivers and for them to enjoy their racing, but to develop, to learn. And what a victory that was! Very, very impressive indeed. And yeah, I think I was very impressed by Segu there, just taking that opportunity. Soderstrom kind of didn't go for the opportunity when he could, because that sort of thing, final laps, you just have to send it. And Segu came through to make the moves, and Alexo keeping his powder dry to win the world final. And yeah, obviously from Hong Kong as well. Great to see the Hong Kong flag on the top of the podium.
Yeah, absolutely. Even though not racing in Asia, we've seen plenty of Asians racing in Europe, either stepping across or having that opportunity. And there really is some emotions down there in Parc Ferme. They haven't even started celebrating yet, but the lips are a quiver.
Absolutely. Once they get the Aperol Spritz and the gin and tonics go, they'll be very, very happy indeed. But yeah, what an amazing race we saw.
The last race of the last podium for the pro drivers.
podium then for our Pro-Am category. Sorry, our Pro category. Federica Schioni and Luca Segu, the Italians on the top step of the podium. Lagermali and Oliver Soderstrom possibly ruining the fact that they weren't quite aggressive enough at the end of that race. Soderstrom winning his chance to race in Super Trofeo through a scholarship in Sweden. And sometimes if you have that opportunity, you're so thankful for it, you don't want to throw it away. And you don't think like a completely 100% selfish racing driver that you kind of need to if you're going to make those kind of moves.
Absolutely, yeah. It's just those, as I explained to all the AM drivers, do or die. You just have to go for it. You have to make the move. But yeah, they all get a trophy there from head of motorsport, Giorgio Sana, and photos on the podium, and they'll be being prepared to spray the champagne. And I'm sure they're going to. They don't have a race to worry about, so their suits can get nice and soaked from the champagne very shortly.
There was still lots of chat and arrangements going on in the Pro-Am, the Am and the Lamborghini Cup category about where to spray the champagne. Bonduelle will pick up his World Finals trophy a bit later on, so this is obviously just a celebration for race 2. Hello to the Lamborghini Roma girls.
Bonduelle's girlfriend just watching on there. Very happy seeing him P3 there.
Thank you, guys.
And that, therefore, is the
Bonduelle's going to be P1. Look, he's going to get the block off soonest. Let's see.
Racing drivers. Unbelievable.
Ah, he goes outwards. There we go.
I can't believe this weekend has been an education in the strategy of the podium, because I hear so much about what's going on, and we need to spray it this way, we need to spray it that way, then who's going to spray on who? And
well, I think with these sorts of things you always need to spray. Some drivers walk off and keep it different, but yeah, always good to celebrate and make sure the mechanics have some work cleaning the champagne off the car, as if they don't have enough work already.
Yeah, well, at the end of the year, it's okay. Most of these cars will have a full strip down before next year. And so the points after our race 1 yesterday and race 2 today. Bonduelle took pole position on both days and took victory yesterday. It wasn't a victory today, but it was enough. He got 27 points over 19 for Schioni and Segu. They ended up second in the end. Leach with 18, Lagermali and Soderstrom with 12. And I think that just shows how competitive the field was. Only really one man has managed to get 2 lots of decent chunk of points.
Yeah, quite an impressive performance, and obviously that overtake at the end there means Brendan Leach went from second to third, but still on the podium of the World Final, so he'll be a very happy boy with that, with the European victory as well.
Yeah, and Leach heading back to the Asian Le Mans Series, heading back home for a little bit before plans for next year. And he just actually wanted to win the European Championship. That was the focus, not necessarily the World Finals themselves. This is the Pro-Am category then. Third for the Americans, second for the Dutch, and Alexo and Schandorf on the top step.
Impressive job there from Alex. I was chatting to him earlier on in the weekend, and obviously a little bit of a torrid time of late. The last 4 rounds was very difficult for him, but to be able to end on a high like this will be a great confidence boost for both him and his teammate Maurizio Reggiani here to present the podium.
Lots of great stories about how the Super Trofeo began last night at the gala dinner, entering cars for Lamborghini employees to make up the numbers. They don't need to do that anymore.
No, absolutely. The growth in Super Trofeo has been absolutely amazing. When you think all the dealers all over the world, the drivers, all of the clients here who can enjoy, and the fans, of course, the teams. It's been an amazing journey for Lamborghini, and to have such great support here in the World Finals. It's very much a family event, a family feel, and everyone has a great time to come together. All three championships and race what is such a competitive, but also for the most part fair event. As the drivers go for the champagne, they will be enjoying this very much. As we see, P1 was actually on the left there. And the winners there just going a little bit later. Alex Ho enjoyed himself with pouring the champagne all over Frederick Schandorf. And yeah, they will be enjoying tonight for sure.
It's only just begun for Lamborghini though. 10 years, a relatively short time. I can't remember the exact quote from the video last night, but it's quite a short time, and their progress into the World Endurance Championship with their LMDH, now the pinnacle of their motorsport program. But the GT3 programs still continue, and of course the Super Trofeos to back that up with their massive amount of pro drivers. Au and Schandorf, 31 points over Berman and Schondevor. Two good results for them. And then Colombini and Zonzini with that drive-through penalty, ending up with the same points as Persing and Stacey, the first of our American runners. Lewandowski and Spinelli, 5th position in the end. That's a real disappointment. Thank you so much to Dakota Jane and to Marietta Evans, who've been down in the pit lane, to Dan Wells joining me for this last race, and to the production team and everybody who has put together an amazing, no, not just a weekend, 2 weekends worth of events here at Vallelunga. We'll see you for the World Finals in Jerez at the end of November next year, and of course 3 championships to enjoy in Asia, in North America and in Europe in 2024. We'll see you then. Bye-bye.